So did you have any idea at that stage as to how difficult your own sort of path in poetry was going to be?
Absolutely not. If I'd known then how difficult it was going to be, I wouldn't have considered become a chartered accountant, I think. No, absolutely no idea at all. But I was excited by what was happening because inside my own head, because I didn't understand a lot of what I was doing at the time. I was getting all this criticism, positive criticism, and even praise. And I thought, oh God, where does this stuff come from? I didn't have a clue. I mean, I've got more of a clue now, but at the time, certainly not. No. In fact, I didn't write the Faust poems until the late '70s. Actually, yeah, they weren't right at the beginning. Yeah.
And also, there's this sort of sense that I know, you're influenced by the other poets you read, but this sort of idea of selling one's soul in order to get a gift is deeply embedded in the blues tradition as well. I know you like Robert Johnson.
Oh, exactly. Yeah,
There's
and
a story about Robert Johnson, who died when he was 27, selling his soul to the devil at the crossroads in order to have this gift.
going down to the crossroads. Yes,
Going to the crossroads. And
exactly.
there's a sense in which you give up the normal sort of life as a poet in order to pursue the life as a poet. So in some senses, you eschew an ordinary life to have the life of a poet.
Well, that point has been made again and again in this new book that's coming out. This book of essays about my work. About, I mean, Ian Popel, for example, quotes this thing about, doesn't he, about not only was he destructive to those around him, but also self-destructive. Now that's an interesting point. I always had this subconscious sense of that, yeah, but it wasn't conscious at the time. It was just exciting.
Yeah, there's a price to pay, but you're not aware of what the price is until you pay it.
Until you paid it. No, exactly, yeah. And then, of course, I was reading a lot of Ted Hughes, and his work absolutely spellbound me for years in the way that Yeats has spellbound Hughes himself when he was a young man.
Well, Ed might want to come in here on the Hughes question and answer something else as well.
There's several questions on my first. One has to do with voice. When you look back over your poems, when do you think you first caught your own voice? When did you get the Griffin?
Um, well, the I got quite a bit of stick to start with for using the first person singular rather often. But as Douglas Dunn pointed out in Bread and Crowns, that it didn't matter whether the I was a personal I or what did he call it, a tragic I. It didn't matter, and that therefore that gave a vehicle, as it were, for the voice. So the first person singular became the vehicle for the Griffin voice, as it were.
Yeah.
And as you pointed out, Ed, in your article, that Douglas Dunn praised that line for being hard, urgent, and working against any tendency towards self-indulgence.
I sometimes think that there's a loud Griffin and there's a quiet Griffin. There's loud poetry and there's quiet poetry. Within Hughes, you've got a loud poem like God and a quiet poem like Woodward. Or you've got Edward Thomas, Elizabeth Bishop, they're quiet poets.
Mm.
Is that the distinction that makes sense to you?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because if you look at a poem like Hughes's Full Moon and Little Frida, that is, as Alan Sagar called it, his first poem of innocence. So yes, there is a lyrical, soft, lyrical side, and a bloody angry side. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It seems to me generally your louder poems are at the beginning, the Seagull, the Faustus poems, and your quieter poems at maybe the photograph or in the second half.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, they're either about love or loss of love. I mean, I think I've written 3 proper love poems. Adol Craig's one of them. Dawn's another one, and Learning from the Vikings is the other one. All the rest of them are loss of love. And as Pam Scobie has pointed out in this article in this new book, that even when I'm, in inverted commas, happy, I'm predicting the loss of happiness.
Could you read, as Ed has suggested, just one or two of those points? Perhaps Adol Craig and...
Yeah, Craig.
Oh yeah, Adol Craig. And maybe the Learning from the Vikings as well.
Okay. Adol Craig. Love, the late summer, seemed to arrive so early, so urgently, to draw a mark between us and the broken past. And we, resisting its lifting power, found in its simplicity on Adol Craig a strength so guiding, so daring, as to make us laugh. And then I knew there is always an out there, and I was afraid of nothing and everything. The days lent their appearances to us as we moved towards change. This was a love song, unmoved by distance, challenged, broken, and new.
I'm really fascinated by that line. The days lent their appearances.
Yeah, somebody suggested it was Ian, actually, who suggested that that was a bit like John Silkin.
It's better than John Silver.
It's better than John
Thank you very much.
Also, the other interesting thing
Slightly slanderous, for you.
is this sort of idea of falling in love convinces the speaker of the poem that there is an out there. Because poetry is so often very sort of solipsistic, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then you have this experience of the other, and you realise that there is an out there that is both intimidating and welcoming, and it creates a sort of tension.
That's right, yeah.
What's the attraction to you of love poetry, or the possibility of love poetry?
Well, tension, if it's created tension, it's always quite uplifting, isn't it? It's not something that you can just shy away from. It's there, it presents itself. For example, when I met Liz, I mean, it was like walking on air for 2 years, and then of course all these things, you come down to land, don't you?
Life intervenes.
Life intervenes, or as John Lennon quite rightly said, you know, life is what happens when you're busy making plans.